Hey guys, it's Ty here with Ty the Dog Guy on the Daily, and I took my daughter this morning to some speech therapy. I've got an awesome little girl named Shay, and I took her to speech therapy this morning, and it was really interesting. In fact, it was so interesting I'm going to write a newsletter about this too. So if you're on our newsletter list, you'll probably hear about this again. But essentially, what it is it's horse therapy, horse speech therapy. And at first I was like, how does the horse help her speak better? You know, because she has problems with S's and TH's and CH's and stuff like that. And so I took her, and it was a half-hour session. And what they did is they put her on, you know, they had her come in, and they had her brush the horse, and they had her grab the saddle, and then they had her, put the saddle up on the horse, and then they took off, and they walked around the farm, and they said, look at this horse, it's got a stripe. Can you say stripe? And then look at this horse, it's got a little star, and this horse has socks, and this horse is wearing a saddle, and so they took all the, the problem areas where she was struggling, and they had her talk about it in just regular stuff, hanging out on the farm, talking about the areas where she struggles the most with the sounds. And I thought that was interesting because that's essentially the way that we go about helping dogs get through their problems too. It's easy to try to just, to want to throw the dog in the deep end and say, okay, dog, you're struggling with this here. Throw you in the deep end and you can swim. But oftentimes we find that it's so much easier to teach the dog and to help the dog through a problem if the dog is just kind of experiencing it from what we call the peripheral, experiencing it from the outside. And so Shay, wonderful little Shay, her problem is, saying these words, and sometimes if she sits down in a classroom setting with her speech therapist, sometimes she'll get frustrated, right? Because she recognizes, oh, I'm not doing this as well as I should, and now I'm sitting in front of this worksheet, or, I'm writing this, or now I'm speaking, and all of the attention is on the problem that she's dealing with. Whereas when she's on the horse and she's riding around the farm and she's just, learning to say these words, and it becomes so much easier for the teacher to say, oh, remember to keep your tongue right here when you say that letter, or remember to, to push out the air, through your teeth when you say that letter, or things like that. It becomes so much easier to give her the constructive criticism when her mind is focused on other things. And it's so much true, so much of this is the same with your dog. So many folks want to just say, okay, dog, stop barking at the door, when the doorbell rings. Well, I'd rather work on teaching the dog to go to his bed so the dog can focus on that problem, and then the doorbell becomes much less of a problem. Or for dogs that are aggressive on the walk, people say, just stop being aggressive, dog. Well, I'd much rather focus on the dog walking properly on leash and not lunging and not pulling, so that now the dog can experience the problem in his or her peripheral. The other dogs out there that they used to want to be aggressive towards are just kind of hanging out there, and we're just focused on walking. Or we're just focused on sitting instead of jumping, or we're just focused on going to our bed instead of, freaking out when the doorbell rings. And so, like I say, the same concepts apply to helping my dog with her speech problems, to helping my daughter, did I say dog? Helping my daughter with her speech problems, to helping our dogs with their problems of aggression, anxiety, hyperactivity, things like that, is if we can help them experience their problems in the peripheral instead of having to run at them head on, we can be so much more successful.